We started with 12 teams. Now we are at 8. As tonight, Penn State takes on Boise State. Of course, Boise State coming off their first round bye as the number 3 seed in the college football playoff. Then on New Year's Day, we have Texas, Arizona State. We have what I believe may be the game of the year in college football on January 1st of the year. Ohio State, Oregon rematch from their first matchup in Eugene, followed by the nightcap, which will feature Notre Dame quarterback Riley Leonard taking on Georgia and quarterback Gunnar Stockton as he now replaces Carson Beck. So, I went back and forth on this with a few people on my YouTube channel. Feel free to comment on our clips. I love going back and forth with my viewers on the legitimacy of the college football playoff. Some people said they like the expansion. You guys know how I felt about it. I truly, as I have said multiple times, feel like it does not matter who wins Penn State, Boise State, though I feel like with Boise State, if you stop Ashton Gentry, of course, the Heisman runner-up, the running back from Boise State, who had a phenomenal season, I don't think Boise State is ready to play with the likes of Penn State, who, even though they aren't the best Big Ten team in the world, they are the third best Big Ten team in the world, which I just believe is better than the Mountain West overall. And to be honest with you, I don't think Notre Dame's a very special team. I think they're a physical football team. I think Georgia is a good team, but again, with Stockton at the controls, who in his career is 25 of 32 passing. I don't know. Georgia's defense is going to have to play incredible. I think Kirby Smart, who is one of the best defensive minds in the sport, not only in college, but in, NFL, high school, just football in general. I think he's going to have a plan for Notre Dame. I think that's going to be a very physical, run the football, smash mouth, low scoring, a rare college football game, like 16 to 13 or even 13 to 10. Penn State, Boise State may end up, 33-30, maybe even 36-33, something like that. But the right side of the bracket really does not interest me because I don't think Georgia, without Carson Beck, is a national championship team. And again, I'm not the biggest fan of Carson Beck either, but I don't think Stockton can get the football down the field as much. Now, I think out of all four of those teams on the right side of the bracket, Boise State, Penn State, Georgia, Notre Dame, if the number 2 seed Georgia was healthy, to me, they would be undoubtedly favorites on the right side of the bracket. I don't think that's going to happen. I really think it's a toss up. I think Georgia's going to be motivated because people are saying they cannot win without their quarterback. I got a feeling they can pull this one out against Notre Dame, who, yes, beat Indiana in that in-state rivalry, but again, Indiana wasn't really a great college football team, in my opinion, either. I think Penn State, to be honest with you, probably, as I said before, play SMU. They play Boise State, who even coming off a bye. I think Penn State is the better football team. And without Beck, I think Penn State, who can light up the scoreboard with Drew Adler at quarterback, I think Penn State is likely to get out of the right side of the bracket and face a potential Ohio State, Oregon, or Texas. So I think, it's a real possibility we get an all Big Ten national championship this year. For the record, I think Arizona State is going to have to put up a lot of points to keep up with Texas. I know Quinn Ewers has not been great over the past month. They put in some packages for Arch Manning. I think Texas offensive explosion here. I think they put up, 30, 40 points here against Arizona State, who I know is going to be looking to prove something because they're coming off a bye. They've got many weeks to prepare here for Texas. But don't forget that in college football, a bye is not just 1 week. A bye, really has been ever since conference championship week. So we add, December 14th, there was no college football on. December 21st was, and the 20th was our first round. So now here we are on New Year's Day. So they have had, almost 3.5 weeks off. Is there going to be rush there for Arizona State, Boise State, Georgia, Oregon? That's a component that I believe as well. But I think Texas, they pound up, they put too many points against Arizona State. So I have Texas advancing. I'll give Georgia a narrow victory, though I could certainly see Notre Dame winning, and I'll give Penn State the victory. And, Oregon against Ohio State is a very tough matchup. Again, I could very well see all four teams that got the bye losing here in the second round. Because, as I said before, and there is a reason that, in my opinion, Ohio State is favored by 2.5. Think about that. Oregon beat Ohio State in Eugene. You could make the argument it was because of Will Howard's blunder. You could make the argument it's because Dylan Gabriel was spectacular. The Oklahoma State transfer going to Oregon, and that team, with Dan Lanning, has transformed into a powerhouse, and they're a very good football team. But Ohio State, who got beat by Michigan because whatever reason Michigan is in their heads, they came out and they blasted Tennessee. When pundits like myself thought that out of all the first round matchups, this one would be the closest. I did say if Ohio State got up early, it could be ugly for Tennessee. That's exactly what happened. I think, Ohio State, Oregon, they both have obviously played in the Rose Bowl and against each other as well in the Rose Bowl multiple times. Both teams are going to know what to expect. I think this is going to be a special, special game. This kicks off at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on New Year's Day. I think it really comes down to who has the ball last. 2.5 points seems like the side to me. I think I'm going to take Ohio State at an extra half point because I think they win by 3 here. It may come down to a field goal. It may come down to who can get a stop or who has the ball last. I think both these teams are very even. And again, Ohio State, I think, will be out for revenge here. I think they'll look to prove they should have beat Oregon in Eugene. Oregon got a couple of big plays in that game as well on special teams at home. If you remember the onside kick where they kicked it right at the Ohio State leg, they stole an extra possession there. Again, I don't think Ohio State's a great team at the quarterback position per se, but Jeremiah Smith, even as a true freshman, may be the best wide receiver in the country, especially left in this tournament. I think Ohio State just has playmakers all over the field. I'm not sure if Oregon's going to be able to keep up with the Buckeyes. So in my bracket, I have Georgia taking on Penn State in the Final Four, and I will have Texas taking on Ohio State in the Final Four. Again, I think the left side of the bracket, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, those are the three teams that at this point, in my opinion, can compete and win the national championship in college football. Of course, one of those semifinal games will be on January 9th. The other will be on Friday, January 10th. Then they will have 10 days off before they play for the national championship, which will occur on MLK Day. And we'll be all over it here to preview Brandon's world for the sake of college football. Listen, I hope Georgia Notre Dame is good. I hope Penn State Boise State comes down to the wire. I hope Texas Arizona State comes down to the wire. I hope there could even be an upset here. If Boise State defeats Penn State, I would not be mad at that. If Notre Dame defeated Georgia, I wouldn't be mad at that. If Arizona State defeated Texas, I think you'd lose a lot of star power there, but I wouldn't even be mad at that. I think college football needs close games because if there are even more blowouts here as we go into the second round, it will bring even more contention to the fact of did we really need to expand the college football playoff? Like that clip from the Brand's World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brand's World podcast right here on YouTube.